Welcome to an emergency PATC family meeting. Welcome on in to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button if you like our content, share the video with your family and friends. If you want to donate to this college football rebel outpost, support us through a donation, hit the $ where you make a comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. It's been a long day. Been a very long day. I've had 2 long phone calls with BTM. 2 long ones. I see there's a lot of people who have come on in here. I'm going to tell you something. This live show tonight, it's a serious one. It's a big one. It's a huge one. I'm not going to mention too many names. I am going to mention a couple of names. But I'm going to try to keep myself out of trouble. How do I explain? Let's start with this. The Southeastern Conference is moving in people who have interest of the Southeastern Conference is moving in on the University of Virginia. A couple of years ago, on this college football YouTube channel, I started talking about the SEC interest moving in on the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, before Kevin Gusowich left, basically forced out, left the chancellorship of North Carolina. I talked about the rock fight that was going on at North Carolina, even before it became public that Kevin Gusowich was going to leave to go to Michigan State. I explained the reasons why. I explained the reasons because people were asking me, why are you covering this, Greg? Why are you even bothering with? Because you got to know the land. You got to know the battle that is going on. You got to have eyes and boots on the ground to understand what is going on. So when Kevin Gusowich left to go to Michigan State, family members of the PATC said, yeah, well, that obviously, sure. What happened at North Carolina has been happening at the University of Virginia. Now, in the title of the show, let me see what the title is. I forgot. The SEC forces moving in on Virginia, UVA, entering prime time window of time, entering a prime window of time, next 18 months for SEC action on UNC and Virginia. Now, why did I say that in the title? Okay, here it is. A couple of things before we get to the real story. One is, a lot of people out there have always said to me, Greg, Virginia, there is no interest. The SEC doesn't have interest. The Big Ten doesn't have interest. Can't you see the viewership numbers, Greg? Can't you see the attendance? All that is important. All of that is important. But at sometimes there are other important factors that supersedes. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole tonight. If you don't believe the University of Virginia can possibly get to the P2, I get it. Very logical. No, I watch YouTube, college football YouTube channels, just like you do. I watch SEC college football channels just like you do. If you bring up Virginia, they yell you out of the room. No way is that going to happen. I get it. I understand. And I'm not even going to argue that tonight. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I'm going to tell you from what PATC has been told. It is absolutely no secret. Good, bad, the beautiful or the ugly. It is no secret, none, that the SEC is targeting North Carolina and Virginia. I have not lied to you. Pete Thamel has not lied to you. Heather Dinich has not lied to you. Brett McMurphy has not lied to you. Dennis Dodd has not lied to you. Even John Wilder has not. Nobody has lied to you. There is no lying going on here. For reasons, and I've tried to explain some of them. There's probably reasons I do not know, but the SEC is targeting the Big Ten. The SEC is targeting North Carolina, Virginia. That's the number one targets. I want to go back to Maryland. Now, why would I go back to Maryland? When Maryland joined the Big Ten, it showed everybody all the math. It showed everybody, the president, the lady at the time, showed everybody the logic, the math, the future, the vision. That the Big Ten was the place that Maryland really needed to get to. Because they had a lot of financial issues. They had a lot of issues. And even with all that logic, all that math, all the spreadsheets that she could possibly show, there was a real battle going on at Maryland when she made the announcement. There was a battle. Faculty. John Feinstein at the time. The weakness to Maryland's narrative, the weakness of their position was they did not have any political cover. They did not have any internal political cover. If you notice in all these big realignment moves, even probably what's going on with Texas State Bobcats and the Pac-12, but to a much lesser degree, but these big time moves, there's always political costs. Always. Texas, Oklahoma, they got chastised, and USC, UCLA, you saw what happened. There's always a political cost. Maryland took on a political cost. They did not have any political cover. Why am I bringing up Maryland when tonight's story is about Virginia? Well, let me try to connect it to another point. Timing. There is a lot of logic to what I'm about to say. It's not going to hold up, but there's a lot of logic to when people argue that in the next 2 years, it's not the right time. The economy, maybe not all that good. The media economy, maybe not all that good. Why do it now? Why not wait to 2030? Why do it in the next couple of years? Oh, it's going to happen. People argue it's going to happen. The SEC is going to expand again, but why now? Big Ten, they're going to expand. They're going to get to 20, but why are they going to do it before 2030? Well, tonight is about Virginia and about the Southeastern Conference and about North Carolina. So I'm going to concentrate on that. Why in the next 18 months? Why is that the time? Because Virginia and North Carolina internally and together can offer each other political coverage. That is what's going on. It is a window of time. And they're acting on it. The interest of the SEC, those who hold the interest of the SEC directly and indirectly are acting on it. I know it sounds crazy, but I gave you guys the heads up on North Carolina. We are going to give you the heads up tonight on Virginia. Things are happening. We've been telling you all, nothing is imminent. It isn't. But there's a lot of action. It's fluid. It is very fluid out there. So let me do a quick roll call, and then we're going to talk about it, because it's not just about President Jim Ryan. Not even close. Not even close. Anthony Carlson, thank you so much for becoming a member for 15 months. Mr. Spartan, new member for 15 months. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for all the gift memberships you have given to the PATC family for all these many, many, many months. Thank you, Mr. Spartan. You are knighted. You are officially knighted. Cloak and dagger. Cloak and dagger. Let me do a roll call here, and I probably missed a bunch of people. I do apologize. Daniel Gygax is in the house. Opie is in the house. Don Scruggs, Jonathan Anderson, Go Black 45, Jose, Sean, Tumasta, Finally Tune, Jeff Morgan, Heelan, Florida, Wet Blanket, John Boxleitner, Expedition Greg, Jonathan Anderson, Dogs in Dubs, MBM, Why Pay $100 million for UVA. Stormy Cyclone is in the house. Justin Cook is here. Cold Eye Walb is in the house. Carrie, Goal, Nose, PATC will be tired of eating cheese soon. I'm probably going to have to eat a cheeseburger. I am not a mouthpiece. I work too high. I've gotten everybody upset with me. I am nobody's mouthpiece. But who else is here? Striker 16 is in the house. Brooklyn Pizza. Thank you for letting me know the name of the president at the time. Lee Go Gators is in the house. JC is in the house. Who else is here? What's up, Terror on the High Seas? Jose Steele Austin, Nick Kerr, Jason Roberts is in the house. Cranky Tiger, Coy. We're not going to hear anything about this in the SEC media days. We're not talking about that short of time. I don't think so. No, we're not. It's not imminent. Okay, let me get to it, guys. Let me get to it. Mowing After Dark. I should have just ate cheese instead of a Mad Dog. You guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely crazy. What am I doing? Why is that sitting there? Okay. Hold on. Okay. Let me show you guys something. Here is the University of Virginia Board of Visitors. There are 17 members. And they do a 4-year term. 1 4-year term. And I believe the governor, or whoever is the governor at the time, can give them another term, but it is a 4-year term. Now, I'm going to be very careful. Okay? There are 17 members here. I'm going to be very, very careful. I'm going to say the word allegedly a couple times here. Allegedly. We do know, this is not allegedly. We do know that this gentleman, and this gentleman, terms are ending. This gentleman I believe, term is ending. Now, I'm going to get that off the screen real quick. They were their term runs from July 1st of 2021 to June 30th of 2025. Let me repeat that. Their term goes from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2025. And they were appointed in 2021, I think maybe one or two of them might have been appointed the first time in 2017 by Governor Northam, by Governor McAuliffe, then by Governor Northam, whatever. I don't want to get in the deep weeds of that. But most of the appointees, most of the Board of Visitor members have been appointed by Youngkin. And now 4 more are leaving, and Governor Youngkin has already named the 4 that are replacing the 4 that are leaving. And I'm going to quickly I'm just going to say the names, and I'm going to say what what their title is, and I'm going to leave it lay. Okay? The 4 people that are joining the board on Tuesday of next week is James Donovan of Upperville, Vice Chairman of Goldman Sachs. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat. James Donovan, Upperville Vice Chairman, Goldman Sachs. The next person that was named going to start their serving the Board of Visitors, University of Virginia, John F. Harris of Charlottesville, private investor. H. Eugene Lockhart of Palm Beach, Florida, former CEO, MasterCard. And then the 4th one is a Calvert Saunders Moore of Locust Valley, New York, president. Those are the names. Now, if you all go ahead and go check those names out versus the ones that are leaving. You go check out the previous Youngkin appointees. One of them is at the top of the science of, CTEs and the damage that is done and all that. You'll recognize the name. One of the members, we were told, BTM was told, one of the members, a lady on the board, was like the staff member of John Roberts, the Supreme Court And BTM was told that she's basically, the smartest one in the room. But anyways, if you go through that list of Board of Visitors, and by the way, the 17 board members, what is their exact power? This is the question that I've asked. It isn't quite etched into stone. It isn't quite etched into stone. Not etched into stone that the Board of Visitors call the complete shot on future University of Virginia conference affiliation. But there's a really good chance that they're either going to call the final shot on it or they have to approve it in some way or fashion. I believe, a lot of people believe, that the next person, sort of what happened at North Carolina, Chapel Hill, sort of, the next person that is named president of Virginia, and usually that takes a year. It does. Or maybe 10 months, 9 months. Whoever is named the president of Virginia is going to be a monumental happening, an event. It's because it's going to give you an indication, not so much the person who is the president, but the symbol of who that person is in regards to the power that put that person in that spot. The board of visitors isn't going to be 3 years from now looking like this. Or there's a very high chance it isn't going to look like this. The board of visitors personnel is going to look, it could look completely different. In philosophy, in background, in politics. The governorship is in Virginia, is run off-year elections. I think it's coming up next year, correct? I don't even know. It's happening soon. Youngkin ain't going to run again. But it's going to take a while. Let's say a new governor gets in there. Let's say it's a Democrat from the Democrat Party. They're probably going to be favorite because the governorship flips over party affiliation a lot. It takes a while to unravel the board of visitors. It takes a while to get your people in there because the people that are in there now, their terms are staggered. If you go into the board of visitors roster, they are staggered. They're not all leaving at the same time. What BTM has been told, when it comes to timing, there's not going to be a better time. There's not going to be a better time for the SEC. And they've been working on it. This is not a secret. They've been working on flipping North Carolina, flipping Virginia, to get people in position to be able to pull the lever to make that change in conference affiliation to go from the ACC to the Southeastern Conference and push the Big Ten aside. Now, there is this, and we don't know the whole story at Peek Around. We do not know the whole story. We're not even close to knowing the whole story. But this clandestine phone call, there is a faction. There is a strong faction at Chapel Hill, a strong faction at Virginia. You know, they have the ACC, they have been the rulers of the ACC, much to the consternation of Florida State, Clemson, and in Miami, and the biggest football values in the conference. But the power has been through Tobacco Road. They don't want to just give up that power. It's going to take a lot for them to leave the ACC. But if and when they do, and it looks like when, the SEC is making sure that they're in their spot. Now, we've had a question. We've had a lot of comments. We've had a lot of comments in the comments section tonight and other nights. UVA is not worth $100 million. Okay. Well, I think the SEC is willing to pay it. And if they're willing to pay it, they're worth it. Here's the deal. We talked about Maryland earlier in this program. They did not have the political cover. Nobody in the ACC left with them. Nobody went with them. Texas and Oklahoma, as powerful, as big a value as the University of Texas, Austin, as big and valuable as that brand is, and the school is AAU and it's spectacular, it really wanted Oklahoma to go with them. To the point where Texas and Oklahoma called the SEC and Greg Sankey together. Texas didn't need Oklahoma to get the invitation. They wanted Oklahoma because it helped them with political cover. Because people were going to be upset they were leaving the Big 12, political cover. There is no better political coverage for North Carolina to join the SEC. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about this for 2 years. People who have SEC interests have moved into position. The Board of Regents, the Board of Governors in the state of North Carolina. There's no better political coverage for North Carolina to pull the trigger, to become king of Tobacco Road, the ACC, and join the Southeastern Conference. There is no better political coverage for that change of culture, for that change, than bringing on the University of Virginia with you. That is what's going on. There's no better political coverage for Virginia, even though they might have the power, even though they might have the Board of Visitors, enough support for Virginia to pull the switch with North Carolina. But there's no better political coverage for Virginia to be able to say, look, North Carolina, we're going together. The oldest rivalry in the South, sister flagship universities, we've been together forever. There's no better political coverage than make that type of jump. I want to make this perfect. I want to. This has to be said again. Forget about everything I say. Really. I don't want you to, but go ahead. turn off this live show, unsubscribe, do what you need to do to get through the night. But none of this is a secret. Not to the national reporters. The chatter behind the curtain, none of this is a secret to them. It is so damn easy for Paul Feinbaum to get in front of the microphone and say, well, it's Virginia, North Carolina. It is so easy for Pete Thamel to say it, for Reese Davis to say it. It is so easy for Heather Dinich to say it. It is so easy because it is not a secret. Now, whether the SEC can get their top targets, it may not even be the Big Ten as the biggest challenger. The Big Ten, they might have isolated the Big Ten. They might have put the Big Ten in a box. They might have iced the Big Ten's ability to even get their foot in the door, especially if with the help of ESPN and their pro rata. The biggest challenge to the SEC to get their top targets could be that clandestine phone call. But the Southeastern Conference is working it. Let me go back to this. Timing. It's everything. You know that timing is everything in life. To be at the right place, at the right time. When opportunity knocks, you are available to open the door. Timing is everything. Shame on me for not having that as part of the realignment rules. Realignment never sleeps. Realignment is about relationships. Realignment starts at the top domino, the biggest domino piece, which North Carolina is. But realignment is also about timing. There is a window here. You do not want to risk going past your prime time window spot. And that's why I feel very comfortable. And you guys know if I turn out to be wrong, I'll take the L. I'll eat a cheeseburger. But this sucker isn't going by another couple years. This isn't getting to 2030. The Southeastern Conference ain't going to wait that long. They're not going to wait that long. This is their time. They've been cloak and daggering this thing. Well, no, in some ways they have, some ways they haven't. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Florida State knows. Miami knows. Georgia Tech knows. Duke knows. Everybody knows that the SEC is going after Virginia and North Carolina. The question I have, in which I do not have an answer tonight. Well, there's a couple of questions I don't have. There's a lot of questions I don't have an answer to. But one of the questions is, does the SEC need to have a big scoop? They're working on North Carolina, Virginia. Do they need to grab a Clemson and a Florida State to help with their media partner, their future media partners? Goldman Sachs, whatever happens when they're pushing their international brand, which they're going to do in the next decade. Do they need a bigger scoop? Do they need Florida State and Clemson? I happen to think yes. I could be absolutely wrong. I've been very upfront with all you. Nothing is settled. Nothing has been completed. Nothing is a done deal. The SEC still has a challenge out there. But you see where it's going. The Southeastern Conference forces are moving in on Virginia just like they did in North Carolina. And it's gonna be really clear when the new president is announced at Virginia. Really clear. I don't know the name. Nobody knows the name. But we know the forces that are putting in the name. Just like North Carolina, Chapel Hill. So I don't know about the scoop. I think they still need the bigger scoop. But let's throw another question out there. Because I've been asked this question. I've asked this question today. My 2 long phone calls with BTM. And I've had other phone calls today. I had a DM. I don't want to say the name. But it's a person in the PATC chat, part of the family, who actually gave me some information in a DM that basically laid out, it was pretty much what BTM, part of what BTM had just told me. So there is somebody in the PATC family, and if that person wants to call later tonight after I'm done with this monologue and explain himself, he can. If he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to. But the person knows people, and boy, do they have the story as well. And I told that person, yeah, whoever you're talking to, listen to that person, because that's exactly what's going on. But the other question I had is, if the Big Ten truly is in a box, if the Big Ten if they see that they just don't have the opportunity, they're not going to have the opportunity, they know what the Southeastern Conference, they know what's going on, they know about Jim Ryan, they know about all this stuff, and they're going, if they feel like they don't have the opportunity to crack into Chapel Hill or to Virginia, if they believe that that is gone, that they can no longer go after the top target, North Carolina, besides Notre Dame, does the Big Ten just say, okay, that's it? That is a wrap. Even before it becomes official, even before the Big Ten makes its move, the SEC makes its move. We've had Rick, a long time great caller at PATC, who often asks the question, Greg, why don't the Big Ten just make the first move if they don't think they can get North Carolina and Virginia? And I always say, well, because of the rules of realignment, you got to wait for the top domino piece to fall, and you got to see where it falls before you go to the next step. But the question I do not have an answer. I don't have an answer. But does the Big Ten just, for a lack of term, acquiesces and say that is a wrap? We can't do that. We're not going to be able to do that. The SEC's got their claws in at North Carolina, Virginia. They're going to have those 2 big states, virgin territory. The SEC's going to expand their footprint. All that demographics, so students going into college, they're going to grab all that. Maybe the Big Ten just makes the move and forgoes the dream of the Tar Heels and the Cavaliers. Maybe the Big Ten goes for the Florida blend, or for the Hurricane and the Rambling Wreck blend. I don't know. It's a question. Usually, normally, I've always said no. You got to wait. The Big Ten's got to wait for North Carolina to be taken first so they know for sure they can't get them. But what if we're at that point? It's going to be very interesting how quickly, not just who is named Virginia's next president, but how quickly it happens. Usually it takes months, 8, 9, 10, a year. Go ahead. Go check your school. The last time you had to replace your school, how long did the search take? Don't be surprised if you see it's 8 or 9 months. How quickly does this search happen? And then who is it? Because that's going to tell you the stroke that put that person in the presidency. It is the 17 board members that put the person they named the president. Go Black 45. Greg, this is doing for the hardwoods for us today. Greg, this is doing the hard work for us. Thank you for the super chat, Go Black 45. I do appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it so very much. Let me get to some of your comments, and then we'll get to your phone calls. Thank you for your generosity, Go Black 45. Jose says it's a wrap. The Big Ten needs to think more dynamic. The Big Ten is still the Big Ten. For good, bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, the Big Ten is still the Big Ten. Silent Tony needs to start working the phone with the Big Ten network partners to get them pay full freight for Florida State and Miami. If he doesn't, the Big Ten is going to get screwed. Jimmy says the Big Ten doesn't need to add as much as people think. They add Miami and a partner, then wait for Notre Dame. Interesting comments. We're going to open up the phone lines here any moment. Finally tune. Notre Dame is the big ticket for the Big Ten. With the ACC imploding, Notre Dame may be open to it as well. And of course, imagine if you will. Imagine if it does, when it does. North Carolina leaving the ACC to the Southeastern Conference. That is I don't think we can really grasp it, even though we talk about it a lot. It's not reality. So it's sort of a kind of we have a buffer zone between us and the shock if that would happen. But that would it would not be a surprise, but it would be shocking. Notre Dame, come on. Notre Dame is a proud football independent program, very powerful. But Marcus Freeman just told you all, once again, nobody wants to believe what Notre Dame leadership tells you all. Marcus Freeman just said there may be a time that we have to join the conference. He just said it. They've been socializing about that forever. Pavakwa said it last year. Swabrek has said it. Marcus Freeman, he gave an example to Joe Klatt. He said if the Big Ten and the SEC went to 9 conference games and had a crossover, it'd be too difficult to schedule. I mean, would it happen? would it happen in the next wave of disruption if the ACC loses their top brands? I think it would. Maybe they would continue to do it, but I don't know how they would be able to do it. That's what the Big Ten's waiting for. They're waiting for Notre Dame and North Carolina. Yeah, you know what? I forgot to mention that. Dave Parker, rest in peace. Great baseball player. Dave Parker. Grew up watching you. Fantastic baseball player. Condolences to his family and loved ones. The next time you see your loved one, Dave Parker, it will be forever. Thank you, Finally Tuned. I do appreciate your super chat. Thank you so very much. So I've been on the phone today. Pretty much, well, we did a live show earlier today. I had 2 long phone calls and a couple of other shorter ones. It's amazing. It's almost like an open secret. Virginia, the University of Virginia, the decision makers are going to be a lot different in background, in interest, in the next 18 months than they have been for a very long time. This is the window of opportunity for the Southeastern Conference, and they know it. They know it. Same thing with North Carolina. I think the biggest challenge that the Southeastern Conference has is Virginia, North Carolina clandestine phone call. Because, look, I think what is apparent to me and the people that I'm fortunate enough to discuss at length with is, at the very least, the Southeastern Conference have put up a major roadblock for the Big Ten to get into Chapel Hill, to get into Virginia, Charlottesville. They have put up the big roadblock. Now, they might not have been able to grab those 2 schools yet for various reasons, but they have put up big roadblocks in the Big Ten because those decision makers at North Carolina, the Board of Regents, the decision makers at the North Carolina Board of Governors, the decision makers at University of Virginia now almost completely resides with Southeastern Conference interest. I think the window on the Big Ten has shut. I think the Southeastern Conference biggest challenge, again, is interest in North Carolina and Virginia to see one more time if they can remain what they've been, king of the tobacco road, but I think those days are dwindling. John Till, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. These people need to man up and speak up. The Big Ten needs to tell North Carolina, declare by the 4th, or we move on with our Florida 2-step. Take it or leave it. Thank you for the super chat. John Till, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. John Till putting out his opinion. The floor is open. The phone lines is open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Let me make this again perfectly clear. The information, all this information that we've been getting at Peek Around the Corner, there's a certain inertia to all this. Believe me. Look, there is like a shelf time to all this. When we knew that USC had called the Big Ten, when we talked about it on March 31st, 2022, that wasn't going to go on forever. The Big Ten needed Kevin Warren to strike. That's why they did. That's why the powers to be, the money purchase did what they did, and I was given information and all that stuff. We don't have. If you wanna relive that, go back to episode 22 of this YouTube channel. Go to episode 22 as I explain everything in that story. But there was a certain. If it doesn't happen now, if there's an inertia to it. Same thing with Colorado being at the center of the stage. Same thing with Oregon and Washington. Remember, I said it was going to happen in those next 5 months, or it's going to happen 5 years from now. It happened in those next 5 months because Kevin Warren left. The Big 12 was able to poach the Pac-12. This is the Southeastern Conference window of time. The battlefield, if you want to call it a battlefield, the battlefield is never going to be more favorable for them to grab what their presidents want, and possibly Goldman Sachs and others, North Carolina and Virginia. I don't think this goes beyond 18 months. Why take the risk? This is their prime window to strike, the Southeastern Conference.
Call from
Jimmy.
Jimmy, thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it. Can you hold on one moment?
Yes, I can.
I appreciate it. Big, we got a super chat. Big Gun Shop. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity and all the times that you hang out. A PATC family member. Big Gun Shop. Thank you so much. Excuse me, Jimmy, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling. Let it rip, sir.
All right, so I'm listening to your show, and one thing that came to my mind was what do Virginia Tech and a Duke or an NC State do whenever their biggest rival gets yanked out from under them and goes to the SEC? Will they pull an OK State and Texas Tech, or do you think they make the move with them?
I think they look. Everybody's talking to everybody. Right? Everybody's talking to everybody. And Virginia Tech knows. They know that Virginia is on the SEC's list. For good or bad, it doesn't even matter at this point. And so the best that they can do is, maybe create chaos to try to be that +3, that third one that gets on there. If the SEC is going to do a big scoop, and if part of it is satisfying somebody other than their presidents, maybe Virginia Tech is the answer. Or North Carolina State. I don't look. There's going to be political roadblocks thrown up. None of this is going to be easy. That's why if you're going to strike when it's most favorable to you. And it's not going to get any more favorable for the Southeastern Conference versus this 18-month window right now. It's not going to get any better. No way. Not for the Southeastern Conference. Things could change at North Carolina and Virginia. The governorship in Virginia probably is going to change. You've got to strike now. You got the Big Ten, who is not as thirsty as the SEC in expansion. Fox isn't willing to give full freight. You got pro rata in the SEC. You got ESPN partnership with North Carolina and Virginia already. You're talking to Goldman Sachs, for God's sakes. You're looking at international partners. You're going to be doing a documentary on Netflix. This is the time. What Virginia Tech and North Carolina State does, maybe, just maybe, they were part of that clandestine phone call. Maybe they're playing up to North Carolina and Virginia and say, let's keep the band together. Let's get a super capital private equity firm in here. Let's build something different. Let's reimagine what we have. They got to be working the phone calls. All that stuff has to be happening.
Another question I have is, how do you think schools like Tennessee and South Carolina are going to feel about this, knowing that A, they could get less money, or B, they're getting 4 easy rivals, if that makes sense. Not easy, but like basically like guaranteed rivals coming in.
Well, I think the Tennessee president, and who else did you say?
South Carolina.
Okay, South Carolina. When it comes to Virginia, North Carolina, those we have been told this 1,000 times. The chatter behind the curtain has been told this 1,000 times. This is what the SEC presidents want. They want those 2 states, and they want the biggest flagships in those 2 states. Tennessee president wants those high school students. They want those demographics. They want the money that is in part of the demographics in the state of North Carolina, Virginia. Tennessee wants those schools. Way past whatever happens on a football field or what happens on a basketball field. Again, historically, Virginia and North Carolina is not going to cause the big schools in the SEC all that many losses, right? Right? But they're going to probably give those schools a whole lot of wins when it comes to an extra 2,500 students here, another 3,500 students there, paying full freight because they're out-of-state students, and they've got the money and they've got the students, and you're increasing your footprint in those 2 states. That's what the SEC presidents want.
Okay, yeah, I'm a diehard Tennessee fan.
Okay.
And that came to my mind was how would this affect a school like Tennessee? So
yeah, well, I think your president wants it. Now, your football fan base, probably not. But, there are other interests at stake. Is Aguilar going to be your quarterback?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's got some skills, and he's pretty gutsy kid too. So I know you guys probably not as excited about him as Nico, but the kid is a gutsy kid.
Yeah, I do believe that he is going to be our starting quarterback.
Yeah. All righty, sir. Please call again. All right, sir?
Yes, sir. I will.
You got it. Tennessee volunteer, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, smash that like button if you like our content. By the way, if you do subscribe, you've got to turn on the notifications. This is our second live show of today. The first one, we had a fun show. We used our artificial intelligence to figure out what's going to happen to the Texas Tech Red Raiders, to the TCU Horned Frogs, and to, of course, our beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers. Got pretty good results. It was pretty fun. Although the Gophers had a crushing loss at Kinnick Stadium against those evil Iowa Hawkeyes. Give me a call. The floor is yours.
Call from
Movie Time Blues.
Movie Time Blues. Can you just hold on for just 1 minute, please?
Sure.
I do appreciate it. Jamie Bangles girl, holy smokes. Jamie Bangles girl is in the house. Mrs. Arkansas Razorback, Jamie. Jamie, are you listening to me, Jamie? Jamie, are you still there? Give me a yes if you're listening to me, Jamie. I gotta give you a little bit of propaganda. Jamie is back. Jamie, are you still there? I'm going to give it to you anyways. Your Arkansas, the state of Arkansas, the Gatorade player, yes. Oh, it's Mary. Okay, tell Jamie this. Thank you, Mary, for doing that for her. I do appreciate it. Drake Lindsay, the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Arkansas a couple years ago, the big guy, the big gun, a lot of big steam. He is looking fantastic. Now he's got to learn to check down. He's too much of a gambler. He's way too much of a gambler. He thinks he's Josh Allen, probably because I keep promoting him as the next Josh Allen. So shame on me. I probably shouldn't be doing that. But Jamie Bangle, you're Drake Lindsay, gonna be a player. Go ahead, Movie Time Blues. I apologize. I haven't seen Jamie in a long time. I just wanted to talk to her and Mary. But anyways, go ahead, Movie Time Blues. The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. This is going to remind me of an old maxim. How does a collapse happen? First slowly, and then all at once. Now it seems that the SEC is going to try to force an all-at-once scenario. This is now they're going to make that move to get the two flagships in those states. Now, all this talk about, maybe it's going to happen in 3 years, maybe 4 years. Now it seems that the timeline is going to be accelerated.
I was never. Now I could end up being wrong. Okay, guys, you guys know I do not own a crystal ball. We just give you the best peek around the corner in the business. I have never thought that this was going to go to 2030. Never. But I think this is more of an indication, definitely, that the SEC, they are in their prime window to strike in the next 18 months. And for those who've just joined us, it's all about the Board of Visitors, Virginia. You've got about 4 people leaving. Their last day in their term is June 30th. There are 4 new members joining on July 1st. I've just given the names. I've just given the background. If you add those 4 to the other ones that Governor Youngkin has already put into the Board of Visitors, they've all got different terms, started, ending. It's all lining up. If you look at those people, if you do a deep dive where their interests are, they're a booster here. They are associated with the politician here. They're associated with the judge here. They're a staff of a judge over there. They're an investor over here. Goldman Sachs. So this is the prime time. This is what Movie Time Blues is saying. A lot of people are going to be looking at this and think this is an acceleration. I believe this has always been the plan. This has always been the plan. And it is not a surprise to the chatter behind the curtain. When they were speculating, they were telling you all this. And I think that's going to start happening again pretty soon. Go ahead, Movie Time Blues. Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
From a Big Ten perspective, I'm not that, bent out of shape if Virginia goes to the SEC. Because, we already have, programs that are, they're legacy members who, they care more about certain other sports and not so much about football. So at the end of the day, it wouldn't be a huge loss, but it's just that the academics, at Big Ten legacy presidents are gonna feel a little stung, but it'll still work out.
I will say
for the Big Ten.
I will say this. The Big Ten has wanted North Carolina and Virginia for a very long time. I'm not talking about as fans or you or anybody else. I'm talking about the presidents, the former commissioners, even the media partners. They went after North Carolina and Virginia. In 2010, they both said no. Jim Delaney and Bubba Cunningham have a great relationship. Jim Delaney is from North Carolina. They They have talked. Jim Delaney has been a consultant over there post Big Ten presidency. But they both said no, so the Big Ten went and got Maryland and Rutgers. The SEC has been working it. They've been working the ground. They've been forming the battlefield in their favor. We've seen it happening in real time at North Carolina. We told you about it even before Kevin Gusewich left. We told you months before. The same thing is happening at the University of Virginia. And the prime window to strike is going to close. It most likely going to close in the next 18 months. So that's your peek around the corner. Go ahead, finish up the call, Movie Time Blues. I appreciate it.
I'm going to say Miami is going to benefit the Big Ten more than Virginia in the long run. So it's nothing against the University of Virginia. It's just that, if the Big Ten really wants to keep up with the SEC, Miami does that more for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great show so far. So, looking forward to what you have next.
You got it, buddy. I appreciate Movie Time Blues.
Okay.
Call again, sir.
No problem.
Got it. Great call. MBM, Mr. Oklahoma State Cowboy. Great show. Cold Father. What the heck? Cold Father. Unbelievable. Sometimes I do not enjoy how creative you geniuses are in the PATC chat room. Sometimes I enjoy you all being creative. Sometimes I don't. MBM, great show, Cold Father. The AI, the artificial intelligence, was wrong on the earlier show. Oklahoma would take Minnesota this year. We did an artificial intelligence. They went through the whole season at Minnesota. The Golden Gophers went 9-3. And they played Oklahoma State in the bowl game. And they defeated the Cowboys. I think it was 31-27, 31-28 on a last-minute touchdown by quarterback Drake Lindsay. The Gophers take down the Cowboys. Artificial intelligence. Lot smarter than me. Lot smarter than you, MBM. So let's go, baby. Let's go. If I can't win in real life, I'm going to win in fake life, MBM. So thank you so much for the incredible super chat. Your unbelievable generosity tonight and for the last couple of years. Thank you, MBM. An incredible, valuable member of the PATC family. I so much appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. If I knew you were going to put down a big super chat, I would have told artificial intelligence, let's make it 2 out of 3. Let's make it 2 out of 3. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Unbelievable generosity. Oklahoma State Cowboys are good people. Great program. Okay, what else we got? Expedition Greg. Thank you so much. Happy Saturday to you, Expedition Greg. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Kerry Gold Nose, longtime PATC family member. The Seminole win. It's been a minute, Greg. I will never question your work ethic, but because you obviously work hard, I plan on watching you eat a few cheeseburgers soon. Hopefully. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I think the chances of me eating a cheeseburger on that college football playoff model is very, very high. And it's going to be a disaster. I don't know what's going to happen. I could get sick. It could be a terrible show.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant, the floor is yours. Let it rip, sir.
Yeah, let me know if you can hear me okay.
I can hear you
picking up
beautifully.
food on the way home, and I don't want to hurt anybody's ears with a bad connection, but
No, you sound good.
The one, I was just thinking about this. I don't know if there's an AI that can save you from yourself on your picks, but let's hope that that's the case. But
Hey,
you should plug in your whole Louisville Miami conversation next time when you do your.
you know what?
your
I'm
next
going.
round,
I will.
Maybe you can save yourself.
I will. But listen to me, Rock and Rant. I'm not going to use artificial intelligence to save me. I'm going to war against it. I'm going to war because this year it's Greg the Gold. And it's going to be Greg the Gold versus the PATC geniuses versus artificial intelligence. And we're going to keep our records against the spread. We're going to keep our records. And Rock and Rant, I guarantee you, it is going to be the year of Greg the Gold.
Well, I'm wondering if your picks are going to be gold, but they're going to be in some mini gold line casket for bad bets, and which might be a way to go. Listen, I'm actually hoping you pick Louisville because I'll have a better season if you do. So,
I am. I got to figure out a way to get Louisville into the college football playoffs. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but. Yeah, I'm talking a big game now, but but before Dublin, Ireland, on August 22nd, the night before, I'm gonna be petrified that I'm gonna get the Iowa State Kansas State game wrong. I am gonna be sweating bricks. So
probably getting the big opener, man. We were surprised last year, but but what happened in the Florida State Georgia Tech game in Ireland, but nobody should be surprised that one of the biggest Big 12 games is kicking off in Ireland, and I'm looking forward to that one as well, which what I would say is my interest in that game is kind of a tribute to your channel and others similar and the community you have. As I was sitting there waiting for my delayed food to come home or bring home to the house, I was just thinking it feels like you're at a bar now with all a bunch of people you've gotten familiar with. So I think whether it's crazy people, not 55,000 people, but it's a credit to you and the team, the world that you created, that everyone's around there talking and the names are familiar. So
I appreciate
wanted to give you a little recognition and shout out on that.
Appreciate it.
In terms of, the Virginia stuff isn't really surprising. Obviously you've been talking about it forever. So it's more just, hey, maybe it's happening even faster than people thought. It is a little bit weird to me ultimately, because if I didn't think of those two states just being border touchers, both those schools still feel Big Ten to me more than they feel SEC, but politics and other optics have gotten into play. So I don't know that I think that those are the best moves for those institutions. No disrespect to the SEC from a pure, full academic perspective, but you certainly can't argue the athletic part, and there's nothing at all wrong with where the SEC has been growing academically either. It just still feels a little bit forced to me. It doesn't feel natural. Maybe that's just years of believing that those schools just felt more akin to the Big Ten. So selfishly, it probably helped my own school in the moves one way or the other.
Yep.
I definitely have some stuff I will want to chat you up with offline for a rainy day on that front. Some info. I'm not trying to tease. I just don't feel comfortable saying it. But I am curious, had to other callers have said, are you just speculating in your mind that the Big Ten might not wait anymore because they feel like it's a done deal, that those proverbial dominoes have fallen and are out of their reach, even if not officially, not on a paper, even if not for 14 months? Or are you just having your own little instinct that's going in that way?
Nah, I'm not even really having an instinct. It's just a question I wanted to throw out there because, people are going to start thinking that, right? I mean, it's like, Greg, you're always telling us that in realignment, the top domino piece has to fall first for the other ones to be in action. And I still believe that. But I can understand why people are asking the question. Why don't the big? I mean, Rick, one of our great callers, has been asking that question for months, and I keep putting them off, saying, well, the rule of realignment, top down. The Big Ten ain't going to give up on North Carolina, but man, oh man, it's and I don't think they are giving up. Like, I think me and
Right.
maybe Moen would disagree on that, or me and other people would disagree on that. I don't think they're giving up yet, but I completely understand why people would start questioning my sanity on that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Look, and I think if the Big Ten was really being smart about it, they would be proactive. They would think of not where our school is going to be in 5 years, where can they be in 10. They should do the big scoop. As much as they're my rival and Thomas Castellanos has given another great week to dunk on them, I still want Miami and Florida State to go somewhere together, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I personally want. If I were the Big Ten, I would do that, and I would get Georgia Tech, and I would get Clemson, and I would think about what those schools are going to be for years and know that you're going to have a very concrete, division. You're already going for the national. You're already going bigger. Just do it, right? Just don't be so cautious that you wind up regretting things that you could have had. Because maybe if you weren't as cautious with maybe money years ago, like, you didn't make North Carolina and Virginia an offer they couldn't refuse back in the day,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
because you had to not just pay for the money, you had to pay for them to essentially give up power. And they didn't pay high enough to make North Carolina in particular and Virginia secondarily
Yep.
enough to leave the Tobacco Road cushion, or to give them enough of a vision of where the world might go. Now, granted, I don't know that anybody knew how nuts things were going to get at that time that Maryland went away.
Yep.
But some people had at least an inkling, which is why they made those first level of moves. So Big Ten, in my opinion, blew it on those two schools if they really wanted to, because the schools clearly can be bought, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're being bought differently now because everything has collapsed around them, so the neighborhood is not as pretty as it once was, and they don't want to be there when they're the last ones that have a nice lawn while Wake Forest isn't doing what they're going to do, whatever analogy you want to do of a conference going down. But they could have been more aggressive at a different time when the people in the different chairs were maybe more fortuitous. You're in year 3 or 4 of a Republican governor, maybe changing the board. I'm sure it wasn't geared towards the SEC versus the ACC thing. There was other reasons, and this just kind of naturally goes.
Yeah.
And if it does flip in 3 or 4 years, those will also turn over and probably have a degree of difference in that maybe was more concerned about something like an alliance with the Big Ten
Yes.
academic alliance. So
Yeah. That's
but
why.
Big Ten, my long point, don't make that mistake twice, I guess.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's why we're just entering the prime time window for the Southeastern Conference, right? I think they're going to be able to, I think they've got the people in place at North Carolina, but it's still going to be really complicated because the Board of Governors, they're getting the people in place, 4 new people on starting next Tuesday, and then they're going to have about an 18-month window here. And they may never have this good a shot again. So,
yeah, and the only thing I would say on that, having been more of a casual listener and observer, not in the weeds to the degree that you were as an OG in the space, any times it's gotten to this place where it's this loud, right? And condensing a window to 18 months as a possibility, just a theoretical for the reasons you've laid out, that speculation is based off of some degree of logic.
Yeah.
It never takes that long. Once this happens, it never takes that long. It just never does, because people can't. You're saying nobody's going to talk at the SEC meetings. Someone always talks.
Yeah.
There's a San Diego State athletic director everywhere. Sometimes they just keep their name off the record.
Yes.
Better.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And some reporter is going to ask them, and someone's going to say off the record. And if we think those kind of things are not possible and dismissing them, you're probably right. But I'm old enough to remember that Greg Sankey had an alliance with the Big Ten, and all the ADs in the Southeastern Conference wanted a 4-4-2, and he walked into meetings with their coaches, and all of a sudden the thing implodes. So that means I'm only 5 weeks old.
Yeah. Walk away, Silent Tony. Walk away. You're absolutely right, Rock and Rant. Absolutely correct.
Well, thanks for coming on tonight, keeping us entertained. Hope everyone's having a great weekend.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks for the call, sir.
Bye.
Beautiful. Rock and Rant, Mr. Hurricane. I'm going to have to do I'm going to have to do the artificial intelligence, Louisville versus Miami. Louisville plays at Miami. So that's why I had Miami a half a step ahead of Louisville. But man, I love that Louisville offense. Isaac Brown and Miller Moss, and we'll see. We shall see. Expedition Greg the Cooler will reappear this year. Absolutely not. Not happen. Let me tell you why it's not. Let me tell you why you should believe me that it's not going to happen. Number one, I've broken down all the tapes. I've watched everything. I've read everything. Every single live show except for tonight, we do a spotlight on every single team. But the biggest important reason why this year is going to be Greg the Gold and not Greg the Cooler is this. It's mathematically impossible for me to be that bad again this year. It's mathematical. It's science. Forget about my propaganda. Forget about what I say. Mathematically, you cannot go 4 years in a row and have a horrific winning percentage against the spread. If I would have just flipped a coin, head or tails, to make my predictions the last 3 years, I would have done about 90 games better than I did. So it's mathematically impossible. Greg the Gold, the fat guy from Minnesota. I am the surest lock there is in the country because I've been so bad. You guys understand what I'm saying? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So it can't be Greg the Cooler. It's not even mathematically possible. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Finely tuned. Thank you. Greg gets the dead cat bounce this year. Even a dead cat bounces upwards, right? Is that what that means? Whatever. I'm taking it. I'm taking it. My goodness. Anyways, the phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. The phone lines are open. They're all open for you guys. Greg, what percentage of realignment would you say the media partners have? Pretty high percentage. But I say it like this. They got to pay for dinner. But the presidents get to choose what they eat. So if the presidents go down the menu and they want a Florida State and Miami, that blend, they think that works. The presidents all agree, we'll eat this. This is what we want on our dinner plate. And they show it to Fox and the media partners. And they say, we'll buy that dinner. The presidents can eat it. If the media partners say they don't want to buy the dinner, the presidents don't get to eat it. Now, there might be things on that menu. There might be combinations of things on that dinner menu that Fox would love to pay for the presidents to eat. But the presidents are never going to show that plate of food in front of the media partners and say, will you pay for this? So it's a combination of power between the media partners and the presidents. Having said all that, we've got a possible third person in the mix. The maitre d'. the third party, the possible private equity. If they come on in, and they will at some point, a year from now, 2 years from now, 2 months from now, when that third party, when that big money comes on in to connect the SEC and the Big Ten to a big streaming giant international markets for the next 10 years, whatever that vision is, they're going to have a say in realignment. And that's going to be the maitre d'. But we're not going to go through that analogy quite yet. Hopefully that explains it. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for joining us on a second live show tonight. We always said here at Peek Around the Corner, when we had the freedom, when we had the ability to give you the next information, we were going to come on live at any time. And so we did it. I know it's a Saturday night. I know you are all busy. You all have lives that you want to enjoy and have fun and whatever. But this was the time. I had 2 long phone calls with BTM, a whole lot of other conversations around this. The SEC forces, directly and indirectly, are making a move on Virginia, just like they did with North Carolina. Those are the top 2 targets. The question is, will the Southeastern Conference be able to get them in the next 18 months? Virginia is going to be looking out for their own self-interest, along with North Carolina, and we believe they are tied at the hip. There are people moving into positions of decision-making at both universities that favor the Southeastern Conference. That is not a secret to anybody. And it's becoming more and more in favor of the Southeastern Conference. But no doors are shut. Nothing's been settled. And I believe nothing is imminent. That's my belief. I don't think anything is imminent. But we all got to keep an eye. Now, there are 4 more new Board of Visitors members joining, University of Virginia Board of Visitors joining on July 1st. 4 members are leaving on June 30th. I've given you the names. The next story to drop at Virginia is going to be the new president, and it's going to happen sometime after this football season. I don't believe it's going to happen anytime soon. Historically, it doesn't happen anytime soon. They're going to get an interim president if they haven't already. So we got to keep an eye on the interim president and the new president. Who's that going to be? Because the people that are going to be putting in the new president at the University of Virginia are completely different in background, in experiences, than the ones that put Mr. President Ryan into the presidency at the University of Virginia. Completely different, 180 degrees difference. So that is going to tell the tale. Just like what happened at North Carolina, it's happening at Virginia. If you're new to our program, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel and open up those notifications, because we can come on live at any time. In the morning, we could be doing a breaking story tomorrow morning at noon, tomorrow night, anytime during the day. We sometimes have 2 live shows. Today we had 2 live shows. So you got to make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. I want to thank everybody who has joined us. I want to thank the people who donated to our program to help us keep the lights on here. Anthony Carlson, thank you for being a member for 15 months. Go Black 45, LSU Tiger, Finally Tuned, John Till, The Big Gun Shop, MBM with his enormous super chat. Thank you, Mr. Cowboy. Expedition Greg, thank you, Mr. Buckeye. Kerry Gold Knowles, a long-time PATC family member. Seminole Win, thank you guys for joining us, for all your generosity. I do appreciate it. All your comments and your great phone calls. I think we're going to leave it here. We got a lot more work to do. I've been on the phone all day long. This is going to be a story that is going to be percolating. More to come next week. We talk everything in college football. Tomorrow, we're going to have another spotlight team we're going to talk about. Thank you so much, Jamie, for the 5 gifted memberships. Holy smokes. Who got the 5 gifted memberships? Bob Swanger, Penn State. BR7062, the Serial Killer. Pretty No Girl, thanks for coming on in, Pretty No Girl. Irvin Williams, when you all get an opportunity, please say thank you to Jamie, the Bengals girl, who knows the Bengal girl. Then she knows the Bengals. Thank you, Jamie, Bengals girl. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your generosity. I hope you and Mary are doing fine. I hope you feel better. I hope you feel somewhat at peace, comfortable with your loved one. Mary, I do appreciate you coming on in. I hope I offered you enough entertainment for the evening. Thank you so much, very much for your generosity. I do appreciate it. Bob Swanger says thank you. Thank you, Anthony Carlson. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you, Expedition Greg. We'll see you tomorrow. Live show. We're going to have a new spotlight team tomorrow. Should I tell you who it is? Should I tell you that today was Notre Dame? The day before that was LSU. The day before that was Baylor. What is it? What team is it going to be tomorrow? Stay tuned. Subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Keep your head on a swivel. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.